Say that one more time, what you just said to me.
I said, "What are the odds that life is this good when we first have Krishna start coming around?"
What is your path to Dharma?
What are
I
the
mean,
odds?
what are the odds? I mean, what are the odds? Like, my life, I am just feeling so incredibly grateful for every single moment,
Yeah,
and
same
aside
here.
from that, feeling
Same here.
so present
Yeah,
in
and
a way I haven't felt before, and
it's as if you're floating through reality in a completely different way now. Huh?
yeah. Yes, yes, it is.
Yes, just like we were talking about last week. Welcome to the Path of Dharma podcast. We are talking about the Srimad Bhagavatam. We've been studying, we've been learning so much, and we are so glad you are here to join us. I am Shannon. I'm here with my beautiful daughter, Shay. And we are again here studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are currently on chapter 7, and it is about to get good. Well, it's been good, but there's some things that are
Yes.
about to go down. I've been waiting for this because I read ahead, as you know. And
Yes.
I have felt a way about this whole section for a minute now. So I'm
All right.
really, I'm
Well,
really glad to talk about it. So
yes, welcome viewers to our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should I'm sorry, I just feel so happy when I'm reading this. I'm going to start over because I almost cannot contain myself. How happy that I feel reading this right here, right now with you. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself anyway, but before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
let's go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna!
I love that.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Can we recap? Let's recap
Yes, I was about to
how
say.
where did we end? Okay, so the last chapter was entitled Conversations Between Narada and Vyasudev. This is when we learned who Vyasudev was as this traveling space man through all
Narada.
dimensions.
Narada.
Narada.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I meant. Narada as this traveling spaceman coming to Vyasudev and telling him that yes, he should continue his writings about the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, and this is how the Bhagavatam came to be.
Yes. So Narada just floated off with his magical sitar.
Yes.
Somebody educated us. Thank you so much. I was like, yes, of course. He's like singing and strumming and he floats away. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's where we now are back here. Text 1, chapter 7, Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you want to start? Would you like me
You
to?
start. You start.
Okay. Rishi Sanaka asked, O Suta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narada Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? I want to know too. What did he do? I love these questions. I am so here for them. Okay, text 2. Sri Suta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati,
Intimately.
intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Samyaprasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashram, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. That's like the second time I feel like this whole touching water thing has come up because remember Narada was talking about after like trudging through the mountains and the valleys and all the things that he actually stopped and like got refreshed and touched water. So
Ah.
I love that this is being said again. There's something in that. There's something
I
to that.
Not to mention, I've been on this journey with water for, as you know, for a
You
couple
have.
of years now, where I will only drink spring water. I bless my water. I speak love to my water, and I think that there's just like so much science. A lot of people like in the spiritual realm that I follow on social medias, all of them are super into water right now.
Yeah.
So there's no mistaking that all of this is a tie if everything is connected.
Yeah.
So I just love that. And that's something for us all to meditate upon our relationship with water and how it can help to purify us and just the intelligence that it has that where it's able to purify us.
Right. It's able to. So this is what's happening. Vyasadeva, he sits down and meditate. He purifies himself. And then in text 4, thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging in it. Let me start over. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service without any tinge of materialism. And thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. Okay, so he has a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Do
Text
you
5.
go
Due
ahead, you
to
take.
Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. I need to read
Okay.
that again.
Yeah, I want to read that. I want you to read that again. Say that again.
Due to this external energy, which is the external energy of the personality of Godhead that they're
Mhm.
referring to, the living entity.
Yeah.
So, due to the personality of Godhead, although transcendental, so personality of Godhead is transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Oh, okay. So is
Okay.
this
Okay.
the personality of Godhead just turning human mode?
He's being man. He's feeling his like human body.
Yeah.
Basically, it's explaining he has a human experience, which it makes sense to something I was reading in the Puranas earlier about Krishna's living experience on earth is meant to be as a man. He came to live as a man, although obviously he's a god, but he came to have the experiences that he was meant to have, which included the interactions with the material nature. Whether or not he said he was attached to it, he was here to interact with it nonetheless.
Right.
So hence he had to think of himself in the mode of material nature. Okay, that's what I'm getting.
And so that external energy, the living entity, that's our pure spirit soul, essentially,
Yeah,
right? And that is transcendental to the three modes.
right.
But when you think of yourself as a material product, you undergo the reactions of those material miseries.
Of
Okay.
course. Okay.
Think I got that? Text 6.
Text
The
6.
material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth.
Right.
Oh, I want to keep going. Can I keep going?
Keep going. Keep going.
Text 7. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, I read that weird. Simply by giving oral, am I saying that right?
Yeah, I
Oral?
think you are. Mm-hmm.
Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a lot. That's a lot. It's
having a
not
hard
that
time
you're
reading.
having a hard time saying it. It just means so much. There's so many layers within it. It's almost like your brain is trying to both
I think that's
say it
probably
and
true.
comprehend it at the same moment. Because I don't know, that's what's happening to me. Because I'm like, okay, essentially, by paying attention to it, let's just say that. Let's just use some different words. By giving
Yep.
focus to it. This is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Giving focus to the Vedas and what they're saying. By giving service to Lord Krishna, what happens to you is you are no longer lamenting and you get rid of your illusion and fear. So that sounds great. And I'm in. Sign me up. that seems easy. Because, like, I am so interested in what we're reading and how easy is it to worship Krishna?
Super.
Ridiculously easy. Like, so let's keep going into text 8.
The
Oh,
great sage Vyasudev, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sri Sukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization.
right. Okay.
Sri Sanaka asked Suta Goswami, Sri Sukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature?
Right.
I feel like we already know the answer to
We
that
already
pretty
know the
much.
answer because he was unsatisfied.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead with this?
Yeah, all different varieties of say this one,
At-
Shay.
Ataramas?
Ataramas. Those
Atmaramas?
Atma, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit self, it says,
Mhm.
especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls.
Hey, this is where in the Wisdom of
Okay.
the Sages podcast, they often call this like the phenomena of a God-shaped hole in the heart. That everybody
Okay.
has a God-shaped hole in the heart, and yeah, you can be liberated, but that doesn't mean you don't have this hole for devotional service unto God.
Yeah, it's really so interesting to me how we have been experiencing Krishna coming into our lives and floating in all this beautiful divinity and transforming us. And I ask myself, what did I do to deserve this? Because it's nothing I did in this life. Honestly, it doesn't seem like it. Because it's as if we were just walking along one day and like got hit in the head by a rock and suddenly blam, everything is different. And I'm so grateful, but it's sometimes like, wow, a little bit, right? Do you feel
Yeah.
that sometimes?
I think I have a different experience. I think that I've been carrying Krishna in my heart for lifetimes. I know that. And so it was just inevitable that he would reach me at some point here. And for me, I feel this has been a slow build.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
was exposed,
Yeah.
exposed, exposed. And now like coming to read this text is what has really been like solidifying just Krishna in my life in general. It
Yeah.
really is. And I can only imagine, like, I'm not reading every day. I have the desire to, but because of like my material life and my mind being outsourced to different things, I'm not. So it's like even just Tuesday night study of the Srimad Bhagavatam has been changing my absolute whole world.
Yeah.
And it has been this like slow rise, and I just know that as my life continues, this strength, I'm going to strengthen this bond with Krishna. And I think it has everything to do what I've done so far in this life.
Yeah, that's probably true for you. I think it is. I'm a stubborn soul, apparently, so I got to go through some things before I'll be ready. Christian he had to humble my soul a little bit. So I accept. I accept.
Mhm.
Text 11. Sri Sudeka Goswami, son of Sri Vyasadeva, was not only transcendentally powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of the great narration, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So there you go. That answers it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to learn it and know it.
And this just kind of solidifies that idea of through association, you find God, right? Because it's saying that the devotees of the Lord were close with him. And it was through, I'm sure that had, it says
Yeah.
right there that that was a part of why he chose to do this.
Yeah.
The devotees of the Lord loved him. And so, sure.
And like he loved them back likely.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it was a little bit of a gift to them.
Text 12. Suta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Sanaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Pariksit the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. Here we go.
Yes, yes. We've been waiting for this. It's like the story begins. All the things that
Yes.
have led up to it. Here we are.
And it's just so
Okay.
insane to think about, okay, that we're Canto 1, Chapter 7.
I know.
Chapter 7.
We haven't even read anything yet.
I know. And I'm telling you guys, like, this has changed my life already. And so
Already.
just like as we get deeper into it, this is what I'm saying when like I just know that I'm going to just continue to strengthen the bond between Krishna and I as I go on, and I am just like so elated to see the journey, and I know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I feel no rush. I really feel no rush.
It feels a little bit like you're going to the movies and you know this movie you're going to see has great reviews. It's supposed to be so good and it's a genre you love. You're super excited to watch it. Maybe it was like a book you read and loved and you're going to the movies. That's what it feels like to me because
Just savoring. I want to savor
yes,
this.
yes. It's literally my genre. It's like
Exactly.
so of things that I love to read. And there is just the foreshadowing that we've been
Love to
going
read.
through.
Love to read, love to tell. Like these are the stories that I want to tell.
Yeah, it's so good. Okay, so here we are. We're about to get into it. And here we are finally, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, text 13 and 14. This is when everything happens. And yeah, I can't even read. I can't read this one. You
Okay,
read
I'm
this
going to.
one because I
Okay, I'll
had
do my best.
such a reaction to this thing when I read it first, like 6 weeks ago now.
And I will do my very best to read all the names correctly.
Yeah, right.
Let me take a sip of tea.
Yeah.
When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battle of Kurukshetra. I'm already coughing. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battle of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the sons of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Drona Punished, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi, and delivered them as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least.
I, when I first read this, was furious for 2 hours. I rage cried on behalf of Draupadi. I don't even know what else to say about my reaction to that event. Okay. I was so upset. And in the next text, in text 15, Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress, with eyes full of tears, trying to pacify her in her great loss. Arjuna spoke to her thus. I can't with this because first of all, I have 7 children and I know how much time, energy, like effort, just love, just everything I put into one, much less 5 children. And to just have them murdered, I'm like so devastated for Draupadi, and that's part of why I was having such a reaction a few weeks back was because of this scene of what happens. And I do know that everything is connected and there's like these karmic layers of stories, and obviously that this is meant to be very what am I trying to say? Different levels of learnings we're supposed to get out of this story. Okay. But the mother inside of me was so upset when I read this that I basically I just couldn't even get past this part.
Which is
And,
just so interesting how
and I was actually pretty upset about what happens next.
I
And
remember you calling me and
yeah,
telling me.
I was
And
pretty upset.
this is what's so cool about this book is like the reactions that it will elicit from different people for different reasons is
Yeah.
really like so telling of
Ugh,
something about yourself,
it
right?
is. It is. It
It's
totally is.
so interesting.
It's because like it's like I just related so much to Draupadi in that moment of her children were just murdered for nothing. Do you know what I mean? To
Mhm.
impress like this king who basically just had his entire family murdered. Everyone's dead. Like
Yeah.
let's go get the children now. I can't. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of upset about actually what happens next. So I sort of feel like we should go to it.
Okay.
So basically, Arjuna says to her in text 16, "O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahma," I'm saying that too nice, and he definitely didn't say it sweet like that. Okay. "O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandhava bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your son's bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head." And I just, again, I want to say, not only did this woman have 5 children, she had 5 children with 5 different men. Okay. So this means that she basically had to separately live with each one of them to make sure each one was the correct father of the child. So she had to separately live with one person, have his son, and then move to a whole separate person 5 different times, bearing 5 different children, raising them to the point where the fifth one had to have been at least 10. I'm freaking out. I'm telling you, I'm freaking out over this thing. It's like, okay, calm down, Shannon.
Mhm.
Holy, just the amount of like pain and suffering that this whole thing is kind of, I feel like accumulates in this moment, like the war. Okay. Like now the children are dead. And like the
Mhm.
sons, the Pandavas are all dead. And so Arjun says, I'm gonna go get his head.
And in text 17,
Yeah.
Arjuna, who was guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons. And getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwatthama, the son of his martial teacher.
Yeah.
Text 18. Ashwatthama, the murderer of the princes, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. When the sons of Brahma saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of using his ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, a nuclear weapon.
I'm sorry, what? Do you remember I
Yeah,
texted you that day and I was like, I'm sorry, what did I just read? Okay, so he cuts off the heads of the children and then he runs, and here comes Arjun. He knows he's gonna die, so he sets off a fucking nuclear weapon. Who is this person? What is this story? What is happening? Who does that? I can't. Like, what?
it's
That's
just
my
it's really just like showing of the polarity of life and the
yeah.
dharma, the different dharmas of certain
Ugh,
people,
oh.
you know?
And you know what it sort of made me think of? Like moments of desperation a person has when you set off your own personal nuke, in like a desperate moment to save yourself or to cover something up or to like fix something or just because you don't know what else to do. Okay. So again, yep, I get it. This is supposed to be sort of an allegory we're reading here, but at the same time, this is a story and like, dude, just set off a nuke. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
he's
want
just
to
going to take everyone out then. This is, I guess, he's going to take everyone out.
I'm dying to know what's next. So,
Yeah. Okay, go.
since his life was in danger, he touched water. Again, there's that reference he touches water
See?
in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjun thought his own life in danger. So he began to address Lord Sri Krishna. Arjun said, "Oh, my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the heart of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. And I just want to pause for a moment to say a nuke was just set off, and Arjuna still says some obeisances to Krishna before asking
Right.
asking for some help. So I just that. Okay. And then we are in 23. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation characterized by religion and so on for the ultimate good of contained souls.
Of the conditioned
Of the
souls.
conditioned souls. Thank you. Okay. So thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, which we've heard this over and over about Krishna or Vishnu or incarnation of God coming to earth to do this. Especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. O Lord of Lords, how is it this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. So yeah, also Arjun's like, what is happening? What just happened? Krishna, what just happened? What happens now, Shay? And we're up to text 27.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know from me that this is the act of the Son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon." Sri Suta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched water for purification, and after circumambulating,
Circumambulating.
yes, Lord Sri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one.
Again with the water touching.
Right.
Okay.
When the sun, it's things like this. Like I remember learning in yoga teacher training, like, hey, if you need like a refresher, like go splash your face with water. It's like, but nobody is like telling you why that is, but it's like, it's just so true. Like everyone, if you're listening to this, like throughout the day, go splash yourself with some water, like with the idea of purification in mind.
Right.
Okay. We're in text 30.
Yeah.
When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire like the disk of the sun covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets.
Wow. All into right out into space. Well, you can imagine this thing you set off. All the populations of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Wow. So this thing reverberated throughout the universe, this clash of weapons.
Wow.
Wow, text 32. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Sri Krishna desired. Okay, so he sets his off and basically he knows how to bring his back. So he pulls them both back in.
Which, I mean, can we just like even pause for a second and just talk about how it just like so naturally suggests that there's other planets and that people live there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I agree
and
with that.
it's like, of course, right? Of course. But like, how old is this thing? And yet people are still like, oh, I don't know. There's other beings on other planets. It's like,
I know this made me think of those stories of the UAP shooting down the nuclear weapons that we have heard in the latest kind of set of. Yeah, you're not tracking any of that.
no,
but
I'm not.
some of the disclosures, right? The UAP disclosures that some of the governments are doing right now include this information about them knowing about the UAPs literally shooting down nuclear weapons. So this reminds me of that. That's the same, basically.
Wow.
This is what happens. Like, Arjun shoots down this nuke with another nuke or whatever happens, whatever the science is behind that. Of course, we don't know, but where we are in 32, 33 now says Arjun, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper.
Oh wait, no.
Dexterously,
I think you skipped I think Oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
no, I
I'm
didn't.
sorry. No, you
Yeah.
didn't.
Okay.
Continue, sorry.
Dexterously arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. Okay, so he gets the weapon, he gets upon him, he grabs him up, and he ties him up. Okay, what happens next, Shay?
After binding Asvatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to angry Arjuna.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I can't turn my page fast enough.
I know. It's so good because like I'm having also I don't know if anyone watched Game of Thrones, but like there's these things that are happening in Game of Thrones that are like going on right now. And like the person that becomes like spoiler, person that becomes the king, basically we know he's like this psychic person that has actually already seen out all of it and how it's gonna play out. So this is kind of reminding me of that where Krishna actually knows everything that has happened before, leading up to, and after what's going to happen. So, this conversation he's having with Arjun is for our benefit
Yes.
and Arjun's. But he knows what's up.
Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing the relative of a Brahmana, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul.
Okay.
A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons.
So, it's
This
almost.
man,
Go ahead.
go ahead. This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately.
Okay, I feel like it's like the devil angel on the shoulder whispering in the ear here a little bit. Somewhat, Krishna is just like playing literally devil's advocate right now. He's just laying it out. You should definitely kill him. He's saying to him, you should definitely do it. Kill him immediately. Suta Gosvami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him. Although Asvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Okay, so he's saying he didn't want to do it. He still didn't want to do it.
After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons.
Right.
Sri Suta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Asvatthama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature, and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. She could not tolerate Asvatthama being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master.
Yeah. I actually kind of understand the reaction she's having right now also.
Yeah.
And when she finds out her children are dead, I'm sure she's having a very massive reaction. Arjuna is like, I'm going to go get him and cut his head off, or I'll bring you his head. And she's like, go, like, of course. But now she's like, takes him a minute, I'm sure, to bring him back. And I'm sure she sat with that for a second. And to me, like what happens next is says so much more about Draupadi. And like actually what's inside this woman is like amazing to behold.
Well, and I have something to say just based off of Narada. Okay, his mother dies, was bitten by a snake and dies. And we're almost like, oh, and it's like, oh, he's unbound from this
Yeah.
right? And so, like, why aren't we feeling that same way for Draupadi? If
Yeah.
everything is if everything is happening under the hand of Lord Sri Krishna, like we're puppets and it's all for us anyway,
Yeah.
that thought just occurred to me. It's like, of course she feels that way, right? She's a devotee of Lord Sri Krishna, so she dies, and of course she feels grief, right? Those are her sons.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, well, this is the plan, this is the divine order of things, and why wouldn't you just trust it? And it's a gift, isn't everything?
Right. So she says, release him, for he's our Brahmana, our spiritual master. It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife, Kirpi, did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son. O most fortunate one who knows the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectful and worshipful. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me. I get it. She's like, enough death.
Mm-hmm.
How is this going to help? Actually, is this going to help? And like his family doesn't deserve this. Let him have his own karma that he suffers,
Right.
basically. And so I feel like part of what she's saying is like, don't incur more karma on yourself, Arjun, by
Mm-hmm.
causing harm to him, regardless of what he's done. Like, don't put more karma on you now. Let him suffer his karma. And, you can still honor his family and his mother and his spiritual mastery title without, I guess, you can still disperse justice, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
without dishonoring all of that, is what I mean to
Mm-hmm.
say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, this is very upsetting when I'm reading this the first time. And actually, in text 48, we're still going. Do you want to pick up there?
If the kingly administration If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in the sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of the rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon all. Suta
Okay.
Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were
Right.
justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity.
Yeah, absolutely. Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjuna, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king. So she won them over. They got what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually love that. Beam disagreed, however, Bhima disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit, who in an angry mood had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest.
Mm.
Okay, so what happens now? Do they kill him or not? I don't know. Okay.
Bhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi, and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak as if smiling.
Right.
Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimashina and me.
Right. So just then, Arjun could understand the motive of his lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashvatthama. Okay, so basically he cuts his like top knot off. And I'm guessing that that's like his status as a Brahmin, like that hair, the hairstyle, the hair he's wearing, the jewel, he cuts it off. So it's almost like he's marked him now.
When it's saying like a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he's
Yeah,
aggressor, he must be killed. So he
right,
cuts his Brahmin almost essentially off of him
right.
by cutting the top knot.
He cuts his title off, basically.
Right.
So thus fulfilling both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He, Ashwatthama, had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide. And now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus, he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Everyone knows what he did. He's lost his title as a Brahmin or his status, essentially. And they're
Right.
like, just get out.
Mm-hmm.
Just get out. And it's like such a um it's such a devastating moment, basically, in this chapter, what happens. And just like sort of kicking him out sort of reminds me of what happens to Wormtongue in The Lord of the Rings. I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
is my genre. Same thing. Wormtongue was like basically there's this story in The Lord of the Rings about this king who kind of gets taken over by this character called Wormtongue, who fills him with all this basically becomes an access point for this evil wizard to work through him and take him over. And when he's found out, one of the things, Gandalf shows up and pulls the curse off of him, and they just throw Wormtongue out because everybody's like, let's kill him. And they're like, no, we're just gonna throw him out.
Yeah.
Let him beg in the street, and everybody knows about what he is now,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And that's pretty much what's happening. So
And it's like he doesn't have access to the same powers that he had before.
right, right. So let's finish because there's one more sloka and then we're done with this.
We were like, this is long, and we just flew
Right.
through that. That was
Wow. Okay, text 57.
cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body.
Okay.
Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives.
Wow. Thus end wow. I can't say that word right now. Bhaktivedanta. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Wow, we got through that whole thing and I started
Yeah.
off telling you like, hey, this is kind of long. And actually the next one is so good too. Chapter 8. I just saw the first page. I read that
I
one too.
know. I
It's so
want to keep
good. Okay,
going.
but we're definitely gonna stop here. That was so good. And actually, like I feel like I'm glad I sat on that chapter for a while, even though I probably sounded a little bit upset at times of I'm so much more calm and at peace than I was at first. I was so
Mhm.
furious about it. I was furious
Mhm.
about it. Just
Mhm.
I felt like I just tapped into that energy of like injustice
Yeah.
kind of the moment, but I sort of again feel like there's such a bigger story here. What am I supposed to be getting out of that? And that's what I've been really sitting with this whole time. What am I supposed to really get out of that story? Okay. Is it the attachments that I'm forced sometimes to let go, that someone takes from me and then I have to react and say to myself, I'm gonna kill them or not. Is it
Oh, and just this whole idea I've heard, and this is all stemming from Wisdom of the Sages episodes that I've listened to, and they've had these like deep conversations about things,
yeah,
and they often talk about like a parent thinking a child as like theirs, like that's my child, when really it's like that's another
yes.
pure spirit soul.
Right.
And so it's like these attachments, yeah, that we create, and then these
Yeah.
strong characters like Draupadi that remind us to like stay even keeled even in moments of deep grief. She just lost 5 of her sons, and she says, "No, don't kill him." And she offers obeisances unto him as he arrives.
Like wow. And how like much better that is for her soul
Exactly.
and the sort of soul of those who are still alive,
Yeah.
for that to be her reaction. And it's makes me think of it very differently, just as I've sat with it.
Yeah.
I've understood her reaction and mine a little bit too, because I think these things are meant to stir us up inside.
Oh, and it
So
even
there's
just
something
makes
in me that made me feel that way. Like, what was it, you know?
and it's even just making me think about how we can detach from people who we might feel like have power over us.
Yeah.
Okay, and this beautiful story that was just told to us about, I mean, and when Krishna first says kill him, we think that he really means kill him,
Yeah.
right? And how you can actually kill people in your life without causing them any bodily harm just by detaching from them. And that's what they did, is they took his power with his from his
Mm.
top knot, but
Yeah.
essentially they just detached him from their reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And how like we have the power to do that as humans.
We definitely do.
You know?
And that's
As pure spirit souls nonetheless.
yeah. And that's a crazy extreme event they all experienced, all of them there to lead to this point in the
Mhm.
story. So the fact that under that moment of stress and pressure and pain and grief and fear, regardless of if it's a allegory or a real story we're reading about, under that moment, that was her reaction. And I just like, ugh, I aspire to be that
I'll
compassionate as
remember that.
Draupadi. I will.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't forgot it. I've been thinking about it this whole time because actually, like something that actually Queen Kunti says in chapter 8, it piles on. So,
Course. Of course it does.
come back with us, please, next week as we get into chapter 8 because the story is just getting hot and I love it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for being here with us for our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm learning, I'm growing each time we read the scriptures.
for sure.
Hare Krishna, all of my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna and Vyasudev for writing this book.
Thank you,
I'm
dear
so
viewer.
grateful.
Thank you for your
Yes.
likes and your comments and subscribing to our channel and
Please share
sharing
this
it.
with somebody if you think that they would be interested in it.
Yeah,
Give us your reactions down below, like, comment,
we want to know. What
all
do you
the
feel about this
things.
chapter? What did you learn? What am I supposed to learn? So I want to know. Okay. I think that's it. And I guess we'll see you next time. See you next week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.